Hi, my name is Clinton Viss, and the purpose of this video is to showcase my artifact that represents my growth from year one induction to year two induction. And the artifact I chose, which is also in my slide above, is this worksheet that I created right here. The reason why I chose this is because last year when I was a year one, my emphasis was getting my EL and my IEP students to improve their scores in reading and writing, and to find different strategies and ways in which to do that. The main topic when I did that last year that I was focusing on in my ILP was argumentative techniques and ethos, pathos, and logos. And although my students did well in understanding ethos and pathos and logos last year, when it came time to actually writing the essay, I followed what the textbook guidelines said. And although the textbook isn't a bad resource, I felt that I didn't really know what else to do from there. And going through those trials and those issues that I had with students last year, I came to this year knowing that I would do it a little bit differently. So what I did was I created this worksheet right here, and it goes a little bit differently from what the textbook says. It's still standards-based. It still is rigorous enough for 7th graders to do. And what it allows them to do is instead of having to write an argumentative paper on something that they read, it's a student choice. And the reason why I wanted it to be student choice is because it sparks student interest. And I feel when it comes to essay writing, that can be a lot of times intimidating depending on the student. So I feel that by sparking interest with topics like school uniforms, for students to argue whether they should be allowed or not allowed, bullying punishments, cell phones, video games, solar energy, homework, chores, freedom of speech, etc. I feel that gave a lot of range for students to figure out whether or not that if they wanted to do one of the topics that I came up with. And I also gave them the opportunity to create their own topic. And I have a space for that in my paper that you can probably see on the slide above. It's probably harder to see on this video. But if the student had something that they really wanted to argue and talk about, that they were passionate about, it gave them the opportunity to go through that, and all I needed was a parent signature. And I had a lot of students do that this year. On the second page of this document that I gave to students, it's just your simple first draft outline. Nothing too ridiculous about that. The only thing that I considered really when I was creating this was last year when I gave them an outline, we did it in notebook paper, and the notebook paper was either lost, it was just shoved into their students' backpacks. And with this, I mean, this is my copy, but I hole punched it for students so that they could keep it in their binder, and I gave a little bit more spacing, and it was a little bit more organized for them than just simple notebook paper. And then since last year my emphasis was focusing on my EL and my IEP students, one thing that I did that I attached to this document was I attached an example of how this should look. I was very clear with students not to copy my example, but I felt that the example was a really, really good foundation for my EL and my IEP students to kind of visualize and see exactly what they're doing. Because it's one thing for me to say things and show them things and model and scaffold on how to write an essay, but at the end of the day, it's going to come down upon them. And I felt that having this example attached to what they're actually doing and having that side by side would be really beneficial, especially since my example would be an exemplary example. Therefore, the student could base off what they're writing and model it after mine. I really feel that this showcases my growth, because last year I just went with the textbook. I didn't know anything different than following the textbook word for word, following the pacing guide word for word. But this year I kind of came to it with a different approach when I got to the same point in the textbook. And that was really focusing on just understanding my students and what they actually need. I know that can be easier said than done, but this year I really felt that way. And it definitely paid off, I feel, because the interest level in this, as well as the quality of writing that I received from students in writing this essay and doing this pre-draft was phenomenal. And students were excited to finally learn and come to class, which was refreshing to see. So I feel that really just memorializes my year one to year two growth.